Hey guys, today I want to walk you through a method that I use to come up with ideas regularly, especially when I have creative block. I'll also give you an example of how I develop an idea from start to finish. Now, I like to use the scribble method. So I basically scribble on a page and try form images and stories from the scribble. Yeah, it's that simple. It's sort of like looking up at clouds and seeing images from the shapes. It's something that people used to do when phones weren't really a thing. I use this technique because I'm a super overthinker, and in the past you would find me just looking at a blank page, just blankly, and not being able to come up with anything, like anything at all, and I really got down on myself. Like I thought like true artists, like they have an idea in their head and they just spit it out on the page, which as I got older, I researched, and I discovered that no, they just, most of the time is they discover things as they go. It's not this whole this whole genius magical mythical technique. It's not really like that. And sure, there are artists that can do that, but like that's like what, 2% out of everyone. Yeah, but anyways, I love this method because even if you don't feel inspired, you get inspiration from the process itself. Opposed to just sitting and waiting for the inspiration to just happen. Now, when you're scribbling, it's better to do it in silence so you can really focus on what you're doing and stay in the moment. Now, when I say scribble, I don't mean just doing those mindless circular uniform patterns. Now, when I say scribble, feel your way through it, do interesting shapes, just let your feelings really influence the way you put a line down, be more, be loose, be expressive, don't be, so the whole purpose for this method is to let go of your inhibitions, and once I've scribbled, I'm inspired by the shapes and my mind gets running. It helps build creative momentum. Now, momentum is important because once you have it, ideas flow out naturally. Now, when you look at the scribble, ask yourself, what if? What if the shape was this? What if the shape was that? What if the shape was, I don't know, a freaking dragon eating sushi or something like that, just let your inner child play, let your inner child show. And you'll notice once I have a general idea, my process slows down because now I'm creating a story and thinking of a visual narrative. Now, sometimes I like to put a precise meaning or statement, but other times I like to leave it ambiguous. I let the image happen without asking why or where it came from, and maybe let the viewer come up with an explanation. Us as artists can really get bogged down in meaning, and if this piece should be so deep and it should just say my soul, and everything has to have an explanation, and I find that that's not always what art should be. Yes, it is important to create those type of pieces every now and again, but I don't think you should force it, in a sense. Your art is the best when it just comes out naturally without you having to force meaning, unless you really want to put meaning in it. For the Kitsune, I scribbled a composition. I wasn't sure what the figure would be under the tree, and as you can see, the tree and the composition differs a lot from the final piece. Now, I found this scribble very inspirational, so I decided to develop the characters and create an interesting composition. Now, once the planning was done, I did a first pass on an A4 paper to do problem solving in terms of color composition and mood. Okay, this sketch really helped me with my final pass. Now, the final process was more relaxed as I was mostly sticking to the first pass, so most of the problem solving had already been done. I did change a few things, like remove the tail and give the kimono more intricate patterns. As much as I stuck to the first pass, I did allow room for last minute changing if it added to the piece. For the Kitsune piece, there isn't really a particular meaning or story that I had in mind. It's meant to be a focus, a moment of rest and contemplation in an ongoing story. The fox wasn't meant to be in a Japanese kimono at first, but as I developed the idea, things just started coming to me. um I was at the time I was watching a lot of Studio Ghibli films, and I got inspired by that. It really, because in Studio Ghibli, they have these beautiful moments where there's nothing happening, there's nothing happening in the story. They call it ma. It's a moment where there's an emphasis on the passing of time. There's an emphasis on the singular moment, and not necessarily like the whole story that's going on. And yeah, I just found it interesting because like my original idea, what I thought art should be is like conflict, to make interesting art. But I got inspired by our Studio Ghibli. They put less conflict, and that's really just lets you breathe with the piece and lets you breathe with the story. So I try to implement that in my arts. This image took a little longer than I think it should. And I think if you're beginning with this technique, I don't believe it should take this long as how long I took it. I just got really inspired by the idea, and I just kept developing until I was happy, until I was satisfied. And yeah, it can really be as long as you want it to be. It's more about, does it feel right? Are you happy? Sometimes it's the first initial scribble, first sketch, and then that's the artwork, or you get inspired and you just keep going, like I did with the Kitsune. Yeah, and there you have it. So that's my process, or that's or one method that I like to use when I come up with ideas. And yeah, I do believe this is it's a perfect, especially if you're a beginner, I do believe this is a practical way of solving art block, is, in my opinion, is what it is. Now, yeah, thank you so much for watching. Peace out. Remember to drink water, eat healthy, and yeah, just don't die. Anyways, bye.